ketchup and mustard. They know that you didn't get the mail when that was delivered.
No mail bath
But
for the
knowing
special
that,
teams coordinator.
Spring's just about over. The grilling season's soon to begin. So you have your own ketchup.
Well, I don't know what to say. I'm taken back.
That's the first time.
And that's going to segue into a little piece of my presentation here today. So you guys are very kind. You're very kind. So, of course, it is Masters weekend, so I figured I better come in here a little cleaned up, dressed like a civilian today, in light of everything that's going on here nearby, polish up a little bit. I have never been to the course at Augusta. My dad has. In fact, he celebrated his birthday yesterday. But I do have this Masters hat, which you can tell has been worn pretty well over the last many years. I'll leave it right up here for you. So there's a little story behind this hat that I think you guys would appreciate. My first year as head coach at Elon, we had our summer Southern Conference Media Day in advance of the season, and there was a sports writer there that must have taken a liking to me after we spent a couple days together in Greenville. And a week or so later in the mail, I got this Masters hat, and I've been wearing it on and off ever since. So I guess I made a favorable impression on him, and obviously I made a somewhat favorable impression on you guys too. So I appreciate the ketchup and the mustard. I enjoy golf very much, although I don't get a chance to play it a whole lot. You guys would find it interesting to know that I tee off with a 1-iron or a 3-iron. I'm probably the only guy that you've met that does that, unless you've met Lee Trevino at some point. Now, growing up playing golf on Staten Island was a little bit different. I would compare it to driving on the Belt Parkway. It's like taking your life in your hands. So you go on a public golf course in Staten Island, New York, and if you are not ready to play ready golf, good luck to you, because you are in grave danger. You might come back to the parking lot and find your tires slashed. So that's kind of how my buddies and I learned to play golf. Craig Statler, by far my favorite golfer, 1982 Masters champion. And, this guy played golf and plays golf still to this day with the passion that George C. Scott played Patton. You could just, he's a guy's guy. He's the type of guy I'd like to go play a round of golf with. He's passionate. I'm sure he probably curses around the house a bunch. Just a guy that's a real character, and obviously he's got a good nickname too. 82, of course, was a good year. Craig Statler. You had the Lakers beat the 76ers in the NBA Finals, for those of you that weren't around to enjoy that like I did. Reagan lowered taxes. There's some good music being played back then. The J. Giles Band and Asia and Toto and bands like that, if you're not familiar with them. So some good stuff for you young guys to check out. Coach probably mentioned to you, speaking of real guys like Craig Statler, we had Mike Singletary and Randy White in here earlier this week, and what a thrill it was to hear from those guys. I think it was a great dose of old school leadership for our young guys to hear. Just the way those guys carried themselves, how direct they were, and very sharp and very humble, very modest. But you can just tell that they had an edge about them. They had a way of going about their business where they weren't trying to be everybody's friend in the locker room. They knew they had a job to do. They had a goal. The goal was to win. The goal was to win championships. And there was kind of an ends justifies the means type approach, almost an enforcer rather than an encourager type approach to how they played and what kind of teammates they were. And I think any good team not only has encouragers, those guys that put their arm around you and kind of prod you along to be the best you can be. But every once in a while, you need a guy who's going to lay down the law and say this is the way it's got to be, and this is the standard, and these are the expectations. And you could tell that that those two guys were definitely that for their teams back in the 80s. So 80s were a pretty good time to grow up. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So we're 11 practices in. Got number 12 tomorrow, scrimmage in the stadium. Excited about that. I am very cautiously optimistic about what's going on around here right now. You just feel nice little baby steps forward. The tempo at practice has been good. I thought Thursday was an exceptional day. Guys are competing. There's more reason to compete because there's better depth, there's better numbers at a lot of spots, and there's a lot of playing time up for grabs rather than just being handed to somebody. So there's a lot of good things going on. I like our two new coaches and what they're contributing as well. So that being said, I'll open it up for any questions you guys have.
You mentioned grave danger. Is there any?
Grave danger. There's only one kind of danger, grave danger. Absolutely.
Pete, what kind of progress have you seen from a guy like Mitch Jeter in this kicking competition? Can you update us on that a little bit?
I'd love to. Mitch is having a very solid spring, kicking field goals, and he and Alex Herrera are in a very good competitive battle right now. Totally supportive of each other. We got a really tight-knit specialist group, but those guys are both hitting in the 80 to 85% range on their field goals. So just to give you kind of a barometer, Parker was a 90% plus guy last year in all the charting we did. So those two guys, at least in 11 practices this spring, are not quite there, but they're certainly in an acceptable range in terms of the percentage of kicks that they're hitting, and they're both kind of vying back and forth and getting a lot of team reps with the first and the second unit. So I'm pleased with both of those guys. As we've talked about many times before, Kai Kroger's just an exceptional holder, and he does a great job. He's sort of emerging as the leader of our group. He had an opportunity to speak in front of our team this morning, kind of told him last night that he was going to have the first 45 seconds of our meeting this morning to talk to the team. And he embraced that and did a really nice job. And Matt Bailey and Hunter Rogers are both in great competition for the long snapping and short snapping duties. So I like that room right now, and I like the competition that's going on.
You mentioned the Masters. If you were reigning Masters champ, what would your dinner be the night before the tournament starts?
What would my dinner? Oh, well, if I said anything other than chicken parmesan, Marie Lembo would be very disappointed in me. So I'm going to go with chicken parm.
Coach, replacing a guy like Parker White, how tough is that? And what do you look for in this battle? When do you hope to have someone named? Is it going to go right down to the final week between Herrera and Jeter, or would you like to have someone named before that?
My mentality has always been next man up, and maybe that's from being a head coach for so long, or just having been put in a lot of situations through the years coaching, whether it be injuries or different circumstances. I think that just gets back to the culture of your program, which is very much Coach Beamer's culture here, that we prepare you to do a job as best as we can. We believe in you. And then you step up, you step in, and you get it done the right way. But I do think it helps to have competition because it pushes everybody to be better. So I've got no problem or concern if that battle goes into the summer. And then, guys that are available in the summer and in preseason are more than welcome to jump in there and compete as well. So we got a lot of time until we get to that opening game. And, as long as we have a guy in place a week or so before that, there's really no worries, no concerns.
For kickoffs, are Mitch and Alex competing for that spot as well, or are there
Yes.
some other guys in the mix?
Yes. No, right now those would be the top two. And William Joyce, who's a combo kicker and punter, who's doing a nice job this spring. He also is in that battle. Mitch's leg is the strongest leg. Alex does a nice job of sort of placing kickoffs where you'd like them. So there's some strengths and weaknesses. There's some things that both guys have to work on there. William Joyce is actually a very accurate kicker. Sometimes he hasn't been able to generate quite the hang time that the other two have. But all three of those guys are working. When we go into the stadium tomorrow, all three of those guys will get some kickoffs.
In terms of Mitch, obviously being a guy that kicks field goals and kicks off, how do you kind of balance that and maybe protect his leg a little bit if he is the guy that gets both?
Yeah, a big thing is, like Clint Eastwood used to say, a man's got to know his limitations. And every kicker, every punter is a little bit different. Some of the great ones I've been around can go, and you need to back them off. And then there's some other guys, Riley Patterson and Jack Fox, two guys I coached. They're both with the Lions right now. Jack was a big, strong guy, and if you didn't tell him that enough's enough, he'd go out there and punt every day. Riley was the opposite. Riley was very comfortable coming to you and saying, hey, I know this is a day when we have plans to do this many field goals and this many kickoffs, but I really think another day of rest would be best for me right now to put me in the best spot for Saturday. So I think that's where the relationships are important and the open lines of communication are important, and getting to know each guy in the room and trying to tweak and adjust to put them in the best spot to be successful. But asking a kicker to be your field goal guy and your kickoff guy, I don't think that's too much.
If you're not at liberty to share, please feel free to say so. But as far as what you guys can do from a live standpoint with special teams, did you guys do any of that last weekend? Will there be any tomorrow and then next Saturday in the spring game? What will that kind of look like?
Yeah, so we try to do a lot of full speed stuff, but it's controlled, it's competitive drills, it's one-on-one type matchups. We're not looking to get, a bunch of bodies all running into each other and guys maybe ending up on the ground or anything like that. So it might be a 3-on-3 type drill, or it might be a 2-on-2 type drill. With punt, we have been doing some team punt stuff. With field goal, we have been doing 11-on-11 because I think those reps are important when you're trying to evaluate your kickers as well as all the other guys in the protection. And just like there may be a competition going on for field goal duties, there's a competition going on for the right wing on the field goal unit between Huntley and Hemingway right now. And so all of those things you need to see and evaluate, and you'd like to come out of spring with a really good idea of, okay, here's 20 to 30 guys that would be really good potential kickoff guys, and then just sort of put them in the right spots when it comes to August camp.
Saw yesterday special teams portion of a lot of guys returning kicks and that. Just who stood out that way, both punt and kickoff? Yes,
I'm excited about the competition that we have there. Last season, we just didn't have, in my opinion, enough guys back there that we trusted to do it. And obviously, Juju McDowell got a lot of those game reps last year. Xavier Leggett is doing a nice job back there. Marshawn Lloyd is getting a lot of reps back there. Lavassier Carroll is getting reps back there. We have other guys, Mangrum, Wells, that are rotating back there. Josh Van can move over from punt returner, and he's a very nice kick returner as well. Brown and Atkins would be the other two punt returners that come to mind, guys that are getting a lot of reps in practice right now. So I do feel like our numbers are better. Our competition is better. We're trying to take a step further with those guys just in terms of attention to detail back there. We always try to include different situations in practice that might come up for those returners, kind of the rules of the game type of thing, so that they're prepared. And when you practice those situations, you see how comfortable guys are, and if they're comfortable when the unusual things happen, you're more likely to trust them and put them in a game. So we've been doing a lot of that, and we'll continue to do that here the next week and then during preseason camp, so we can really solidify, our top 4 to 6 guys. DK Joyner would be another one that's played a lot back there, was our off returner quite a bit last season. So that's a very trustworthy guy.
Not sure how much you've gotten to work with him on the special team side of things, but Devontae Reed's been a guy that's been talking about a lot. Just what have you seen from him in practice and the time you've been able to spend with him?
Yeah, we're Mac brothers, right? With the Ball State and Central Michigan connection. I gave a fire up chips the other day, and nobody besides he and I knew what I was talking about. I had it up there on the screen, and so he got a good laugh out of that. First of all, he's a great guy. I mean, he is so grateful and appreciative to be here. You could just tell every day he walks in the building, he just kind of lights up and, am I really in this place? And am I really getting this opportunity? So that's just, as a coach, very fulfilling to work with a guy like that when you know how grateful he is. He practices really hard with a really good tempo. He drills with a purpose, and he's very focused in meetings. So when he takes the meeting out to the field and really tries to apply what you're teaching him. He coaches himself. He corrects things. You could tell he just takes great pride in what he does and how he does it. He runs well. He's instinctive. He's got a good nose for the ball. So I'm really looking forward to finding some spots for him to plug in and help us. And you can tell he is completely gung-ho from a special team standpoint. So that guy's been a really good addition. He's not the biggest guy. He's probably not going to end up being the fastest guy, but he plays fast, and he plays hard, and he plays with a purpose. And that completely fits the kind of program we're trying to build here.
2 other individual players who've gotten a lot of praise this spring are TJ Sanders and Juice Wells.
Yeah.
I guess first, how much does TJ work with you in special team stuff? Is he pretty involved, I guess?
He's been invited. He has been invited. I like this guy. He's still a young guy. He's growing up. He's still a little rough around the edges at times, but I'll take that any day of the week because he's got a big heart. He's intelligent. He's tough. He is not afraid to strike you. He's going to be a dude. And he's got a great personality. He's bubbly. He's fun-loving. Another guy that's great to coach. So when I say he's been invited to make the depth chart in the shield on punt or as an up back on kickoff return, that's a big deal around here. Guys like Huntley and Hemingway and Vershawn Lee, guys like that we've used in those spots, they take a lot of pride in it, and they know that if you're not a trustworthy guy, you're not even going to make the depth chart in those positions because too much is at stake. And so Sanders is kind of an apprentice in those spots. So we're working him in, we're bringing him along, and I think he's got a really bright future. And you could see him flash in the D line too, which is really cool. And he's a big, strong guy that's got twitch. So I'm excited about him. And then Juice Wells, another guy, very grateful to be here, goes hard, practices hard, is coachable, takes pride in what he does, does some really good things at times, and then at other times, right now, he's a work in progress, but when he makes a mistake, he owns it, he's coachable, He's going to want to go out there the next day and clean it up and do it right, and I know Coach Stepp's enjoying him as much as I am.
Anything else?
All right, well, if that's it, I'm going to take my ketchup and mustard and get the heck out of here. Thank you.